I restored the hydraulic auger for my backhoe. I had to rebuild the gearbox and the hydraulic motor. The frame, it's in bad shape. They cut it and re-welded a couple times, and this weld in bad shape, and there is a play with this part. So I'm going to rebuild it to make it stronger, and I thought to record this part to show you. I hope you enjoy this video. There is a minor play in this part, and that's okay. I could install this easier on the backhoe with little bit of play. However, these bolts are loose and they rusted. I'm going to cut them and use new bolts. As you see it play, I'm not going to weld it because I want this to stay adjustable. As you see, there is holes. Just in case in the future I get skid steer or something and I try to adapt this auger to the new machine, so I be able to readjust this one. This pin, it's 1.25 inches and it wear out. It's in bad shape. And this pin is not hardened. The file will eat it. I have this pin, it's scrap, I got it from work, and it's hardened. The file will not touch it. But this one, it's 1.3/8 inches. It's bigger than this one. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to make this hole a little bit bigger so this pin will not play bad inside here. And this metal, it's thin, that's why it wear out quick. What I'm going to do, I'm going to make washers. These leftover from the dump truck project when I build the gate. I'm going to make them into washers and weld them here, and I'll make this hole bigger so it will be a deep 1.3/8 hole so the pin will not wear it out quick. This part I will show you here in a little bit. I'll bring the camera and show you. They cut it, it looked like 2 or 3 times. And they re-welded, and this, it looked like they cut a piece from a blade and made it into this thickness with the torch, and then they bend it, and it's not straight, it's not square, and it twisted. And this pin, if I install it, it's not level. I thought to cut this pipe and use a new pipe. I have a longer piece of this 8-inch pipe. It's the same size as this, and I thought to cut it from here, use one this length, and then weld the blade on top and use the attachment. I have to build a new bushing. However, this is going to be harder to build, require more work, and it will be difficult to install the hoses on the hydraulic auger. So I abandoned this idea, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to cut this right here where there is no weld in the way, and I already cut a new metal, and I'm going to rebuild this one where it's going to be square and strong. I'll bring the camera and I'll show you close up of everything so you get good idea of what I'm planning to do. I'm also going to show you, I had a problem with my backhoe when I bought it, the accelerator for the backhoe part. It was hard to operate. Finally, it seized up. And really, it was very easy fix. I have to find the parts to show you, but let me bring the camera and show you what's going on over here. As you see, the weld is in bad shape. Also, it appears as they cut this bracket, more than once because there is evidence of old weld in this area and in this area. And this weld is also in bad shape. The way I mark it, I took a belt, a rubber belt, which is square, and I lay it around this pipe and I marked it, and I'm going to cut it with the grinder. And this over here, I'm just going to cut these bolts with the grinder too. And I already cut this metal to rebuild this part. Let me show you what's going on with the backhoe. This lever, it throttle the backhoe up when you operate the backhoe. And it was hard to operate. Finally, it seized up. And I took these covers off. And what I discovered after I removed this cable, the way to remove this cable, you have to remove, there's a bolt right here. I already put a new bolt. And you have to remove this nut. And this whole thing come off. And then you have to lose this nut, which is this bracket slotted so you could pull this out of the way. And I had to do same thing over here. I had to remove the cover to be able to extract the throttle cable. In this area, there is aluminum bushing. And it's pressed in at the end of this part. When you pull the cable to one way, there is a shaft that's about this length, and there is a steel rope or cable, which is more flexible. So you could twist this part and it will come off. Inside this part, there is a plastic bushing. And this is swelled up and cause the cable to be harder to operate. This is the other piece. So I used a 1/4 inch drill bit and I drilled those out with this piece of aluminum out of the cable. You have to remove the cable completely. Let me show you another look. There is a fine thread at the end of the cable at both ends. You need to loosen this nut, and then you have to lose this part that attach to the lever. Pull this out and you'll be able to remove this bushing, this aluminum bushing, to remove this. I thought to share this with you in case somebody have similar machine. And now I'm ready to reassemble the covers around this dashboard. I also repaired the wiring of this backhoe. I thought there is an opening over here where the rodent got in. However, these holes, they're small enough. So it could be a small mice what's got inside and chewed the wire inside the dashboard. Also, when you remove the covers, if you have similar machine, there is these tenement nuts. They were rusted. They sell them at the auto parts store. It's 1/4 so you could replace them easy. I broke a bolt over here, but I was able to drill it out and retab it. And now let us go back to the hydraulic auger project. install this piece temporarily to verify the location of the hoses, and I use these bolts as reference, and I marked, and this is where I'm going to weld the vertical pieces. Everything is clean. This one I can reach this area with the grinder. However, I hit it with the wire brush on the drill, and I use the drill to clean the inside, and this is how I grinded this, removed all the rust. I cut these 3 pieces the same size as the diameter of this pipe. I'm using this temporary just till I get this tacked, then I will remove it and I will weld it here. It is square, 21 3/8 inch, 21 3/8 inch. Everything look good. I'm ready to weld it all the way. I welded it all the way. Then I hit it with the wire brush on the grinder. All the welds look good. I used 5/32, 7 to 18 rods. And I need to do some machining to these parts. I cut these rounded with the grinder to make it easier on the lathe and it will be faster. I just removed the extra metal all the way around. And I'm going to chuck these on this all thread, and then I put it on the lathe and I'll machine it down. I'm shooting for about 2 1/4 inch. The outside diameter currently they are about 3 inches. I cut this out of gearbox shaft, little bit wider than I need, and I'm going to drill it and machine it so the 1 3/8 pin will fit inside it. I tested it over here with the drill bit to make sure the drill will drill it, because this little bit hardened, it's not mild steel, so it is machinable. And then once I machine these to the dimension I'm looking for, then I have to chuck them back on the lathe from the outside and machine them so this pin will fit inside, and I have to also make this hole bigger so this pin will fit inside. The inside dimension of this part is little bit over 2 inch and 7/8 of inch. I made this part 2 and 7/8. It fit perfectly. I have minimal play inside. This one, it's 3 inches, and the weld will add to the width of it. And I don't want to weld this one directly on the top. I'm going to build a bracket to build it up and also to make the weld strong. I don't know the alloy type of this material. It's hardened, and you could tell from the finish of the part. When you machine something on the lathe and it's become shiny with carbide, so you know it's not a mild steel, it's hardened. The best practice to weld something like this is to hug it with the weld. And this is what I'm going to do. I already cut these the same height as this part. And this over here is 2 inch, 1/2 inch flat stock. And I'm going to cut 2. And then I have to notch this so this bushing will fit inside, and I weld it. I'll show you the finished product, but I thought to share this information just in case somebody have similar things, so when they build their frame, they build it one time and they don't have to repair it, anytime soon. So the weld will be strong and nothing will fall apart. And this is good idea to do even if this was a mild steel. You'll be able to weld it from inside and from the outside, and the weld will come up higher than the half point. So even if it doesn't weld good, like I said, the weld will hug it. And if anything break, if you see crack or something, this is way better than this part come off and the auger spin, and this will damage the fitting, the hoses, and may damage also the motor. And now I'm ready to run the generator and start cutting metal. This measurement is the same as this measurement. I am done with it. I welded it all the way, grinded it. I also added these. I welded them all the way around, and it's perfect. Very smooth operation, very little play. I also welded these 1.5 by 1/2 inch flat stock to add rigidity, so I don't have to worry about these bend or anything like that. And I cut them at 45 degrees. And it came out nice. Let me show you a close-up. As I said earlier, I welded this to above 1/2 point so the weld will hug the bushing, and this bushing welded good. The material was weldable. I also welded this all the way around. Luckily, this hardened pin, these tractor pins will fit it perfectly. And I am ready to paint it. I'm also doing maintenance to this backhoe. I changed the oil, flushed the coolant, and clean the air filter. And it's a good idea when you do something like this to inspect the engine compartment, the transmission, and everything else. This bracket broke right by the bolt. I'm going to remove this bracket and weld it. If you guys found something like this, make sure you address it as quickly as possible. If I don't weld this, the vibration may cause damage to the exhaust manifold. So I'm gonna go ahead, remove this bracket, and weld it right where it broke. I removed this part. The way I'm going to fix it, I'm going to grind all the parts, and then I'm going to clamp this angle to the table, and clamp this part to the angle, and then I will weld these two together, and then I will grind them flat. And I have this thick 5/8 washer. It's bigger than the bolt. The original bolt is 1/2 inch, so I have room for adjustment. Then I'm going to weld this all the way, grind it to flat. I also found a bolt longer than the original to compensate for the thickness of this washer. Then I should be ready to reinstall this back on the tractor.